Welcome back to the channel. This is a More Better Ascend coming at you with another super budget deck tech. This is a modern burn deck that's mono red. This is built around one specific creature. It is Chandra's Incinerator. This is a 6 mana 6/6 trample that says this spell costs X less to cast, where X is the total amount of non-combat damage dealt to your opponent this turn. And it says once it's in play, whenever a source you control deals non-combat damage to an opponent, Chandra's Incinerator deals that much damage to target creature or planeswalker that player controls. So 6 mana 6/6 with trample is okay value, but I'm going to show you how we're going to get much better value out of this. Speaking of value, this deck costs $33 on TCG Player. On Card Trader, it costs about $32, so it's about the same. And this deck is insane. Look at the mana curve. We have 24 1-mana spells. It is all red. Our average mana cost is 2. This is insane. Let's get into it. So how are we going to get Chandra's Incinerator out? Because if this is one of our win conditions, we're not going to wait until turn 6 to do this. So we're going to be using the first part of the creature description down there that says this spell costs X less to cast, where X is the total amount of non-combat damage dealt to the opponent. So we're going to try and do 5 damage to the opponent as fast as possible so that we can get a 6/6 trample for 1 red. Now, how are we going to do that? Because most spells, you're either paying more for the amount of damage that you're going to do, or you're paying the same amount. So you'd be paying between multiple spells 5 mana for 5 damage. So let's show you how we're going to do that. At 1 mana, we have the Vexing Devil. This is a 1 mana 4/3. So the best part about this card is it gives the opponent a big choice to make. So it says when Vexing Devil enters the battlefield, any opponent may have it deal 4 damage to them. If a player does, you sacrifice it. So you're doing 4 damage for 1. So if they don't know what your plan is with this deck, you can just put this out on not on turn 1 though, because we want to do this in a combo to be able to cast this. Because if you can pay 1 to do 4 damage, then that means Chandra's Incinerator only costs 2. So you'd only need 3 total mana with just these 2 cards combined, and you could have the Incinerator out in the battlefield. So this is a big choice for them, because you either deal 4 damage to them, or they have a 4/3 on the field for 1 mana, which is one of the craziest values. This card's amazing. They're actually, I think they're reprinting this in that new remastered set that's coming out. All right, we also have Lightning Bolt, which is another +2 value, because we're paying 1 mana for 3 damage. We have Lava Spike, which is another 1 mana for 3 damage, and you can also do this against planeswalkers, which is nice. We have Seal of Fire. Now this is where the strategy is going to come in. So with this card, it's an enchantment. So normally you'd be thinking, oh, instant sorceries, those are the ones that deal damage. No. So we're going to be using this. You're going to play this on turn 1 and just leave it on the side. And when you sacrifice it, it deals 2 damage to target creature or player. So it's almost like plotting, where you're going to pay for it now and you're going to use it later for 0 so that you can combo off more. And then now you're getting -2 cost on this for free. So if you play this on turn 1, you have 2 damage in your pocket. That means this is only going to cost 4. And then on turn 2, you could play another one and just start stacking them. All right, let's show you the other cards that are going to help us out. This is another slight improvement. It's a 1 mana for 2 damage. You could use Bolt Wave, which is a new card that just came out that does 3 damage. It's a little more expensive. That's what it wouldn't make this deck very budget. But this also gives you the ability that when you do damage to the player, you get to scry 1, so you can kind of start setting up your turns to do what you need to do. We also have Lightning Strike, which is another 3 damage for 2, so it's a +1 for us. And then we get into the spectacle costs of the Skewer for Critics. So this is a 3 damage to any target, but we're not going to be paying 3. This says spectacle cost 1. You may cast a spell for its spectacle cost rather than its mana cost if an opponent lost life this turn. So as long as you order your spells correctly, you could play a Play with Fire, do 2 damage to them. Play this for its spectacle cost, do 3 damage to them. Now they've gotten 5 damage to them, and then you can cast this for 1. So you can get this out turn 3, or you play Seal of Fire turn 1, put that off to the side. Turn 2, put out another land, sacrifice that, do 2 damage, pay 1, do 3 damage, and then use your other 1 mana, and now you have a Chandra's Incinerator on the battlefield out on turn 2, which is wild. Because this is first of all, this is a 6/6 trample. And you've already done 5 damage to them, so they're already at 15 life. And now you have this on the battlefield. So now next turn, you could be playing whatever spells you want to play, and anything that he puts out, that your opponent puts out on the battlefield, is going to get destroyed, because if you go face with all of these different spells, it's going to do that much damage to whatever creature or planeswalker that they just played. So as long as you have a handful of these spells and you're still drawing things, you're going to just destroy everything on their battlefield with this creature. And the last spell we have is Rift Bolt. This works the same as Seal of Fire, where instead of it being an enchantment and you're putting it off to the side and using it for later, you're going to suspend it for 1. So you just have to make sure you have your plays set up properly, so that way you can suspend this on turn 1. And then it's kind of, suspend is basically plot. So you're paying 1 and putting a time counter on it. So it's kind of like plot, but it has a time limit on it. You have to wait 1 turn, and at the beginning of your upkeep on the next turn, it's going to play this card, and you're going to deal 3 damage to any target, which obviously would be the face. And then you can just play 1 Skewer the Critics. Now you've done 6 damage, play this for 1. So there's multiple ways to get this big boy out on turn 2. Now, just for a little extra support, I threw 4 Monastery Swift Spears in here. I know this is a trend that we have this in almost every deck, but it's such a good card. You could also play this on 1 if you wanted to, so that way while you are setting up all the different plays to get this out, this is getting prowess triggers, and you can still keep swinging in with that. So if you're doing 5 to 6 damage to them to get this cost lower, then you're also going to be getting 2 prowess triggers on this, or 3 prowess triggers, or whatever it is. So you're going to be doing an extra 3 damage with this. So it just adds an extra level of damage to your deck. So this deck is very, as you can tell, very fast. Once you get this guy out, and with the amount of burn in the hand, it's pretty insane. Mana base, very easy, just 20 mountains. Nothing crazy there. So yeah, this deck, I've used this deck before. It works very well. If you have an Incinerator in your hand, you're most likely able to get this thing out by turn 2, maybe turn 3. Anything other than that, it's still good to get out for cheaper, but you should really try to be getting this thing out on turn 2 or turn 3 if possible. Then your opponent is just going to be overwhelmed with the amount of damage that you've done to them, and with having this guy on the battlefield so early, especially with trample, anything that they put out on their turn 2 or turn 3 will not be this big and will not be able to handle this. All right, so if you like this deck and you like this budget deck tech, make sure you comment, subscribe, do all the algorithm things, and let me know what kind of deck you want to see next. And until next time, I'll see you for the next one.